Beginning in 2011 and ramping up in 2017, Illinois, specifically in the Chicago area, has been inundated with reported sightings of giant bat and prehistoric bird-like creatures. What are they? Where do they come from? Paranormal investigators like Manuel Navarro and Lon Strickler have been documenting these sightings for years. They have not been able to pin down a reason why these creatures are appearing, although some believe that they may be a harbinger of some tragic event to come, as similar giant bird-like creatures were seen around Point Pleasant, West Virginia before the Silver Bridge collapse in 1967 and around Chernobyl before the meltdown in 1966. There is one reported picture of a black bird-like creature which was seen around the Twin Towers before the fall, although there is some debate that the picture is a hoax. In 1916, two men, Frank Skinner and Geo Grigg, reportedly observed a giant bird-like creature flying over their car. Their account was featured in Coffeyville, Kansas's The Coffeyville Daily Journal on July 8, 1916. The sighting was said to have taken place on the afternoon of July 7, 1916, in the hills of Oklahoma, in the vicinity of Noxie, which is of course the home of the Noxie Monster, a monstrous creature with cat-like eyes, which stalks the area woods, frightening locals. I will read from the Coffeyville Journal. According to the story told by them, they were driving along the main travel road this side of Noxie yesterday afternoon at about 4 o'clock, when all at once they noticed a strange object, apparently standing on the peak of a hill, some half-mile distance from them. As they gazed in wonderment, trying to figure out what it was, the object raised and came flying through the air toward them. They stopped their car and watched. When within about a quarter of a mile of them, it circled, flew over a large herd of cattle that was grazing in a large pasture, and disappeared over the top of a distant hill. The object did not get near enough for them to distinguish its makeup. However, the general outline of the mystery of the air was plainly visible. It traveled very rapidly and had the form of a giant with great wings attached to him. The report went on to indicate Mr. Skinner and Mr. Grigg were not under the influence of any substances and were clear-headed when they observed the creature. Mr. Grigg believed that somebody may have been experimenting with a newly invented flying apparatus. The country is sparsely settled in that particular vicinity. Mr. Skinner refuses to even guess what it was, but he insists that he saw it and that he has never seen anything like that before. In February 2017, the host of the Italian paranormal YouTube channel, The Theory of Truth, spoke of encountering a bizarre bird-like entity in the summer of 2011, something he called the Crow Man. He claims that, at the time, he would return home late from work at around 1 a.m. He was not using drugs or drinking. He remembered parking his car and getting out and immediately feeling a chill, something that he found to be odd given that it was July. Further, he got a weird sense that he was being watched. He shrugged it off and went inside to sleep. These strange sensations continued for the next week. Each night the chill got worse, and the feeling that he was being watched got increasingly more intense. It was on the 5th night. That's when something happened. That's the first time the sound of footsteps accompanied the weird vibes. He recalled that they were heavy, belonging to either a large animal or a large human, and they frightened him, and he rushed inside his house. The next night he heard the steps again. On the 7th day, that's when things came to a head, when he, instead of rushing inside, decided to stay and find out what, or rather who, was causing the heavy footsteps. He looked around the darkened courtyard, eventually hearing the steps again, and that's when he spotted it, a giant creature. I see this big shadow, black shadow, and it was very big and very tall, because I am 6 feet and 4 inches, and this shape, it looks much taller than me, he recalled. The creature had big, red, shiny eyes, and they were watching him. And at the time I was very scared, and I didn't know what to do. Do I run? Do I go to the shadow? I stayed like paralyzed for some seconds, and I didn't know what to do. At this point the witness recalled that the creature began to move in his direction. It starts to walk towards me, and after probably 3 or 4 seconds, the shadow was almost to me. It was about 10 meters away. I was very scared, so I ran. I don't know why. I ran over to and behind the wall by my house. So I closed the gate of my garden. I closed the gate and I ran into my house. In my house, the door is full of glass, so that you can see out. And when I closed the door, I saw out through the gate. I see the eyes. They were near my gate. They were still watching me. It was very terrifying, and still now, when I talk about the story, I'm still terrified. When he looked back at the window sometime later, he noticed that the eyes were gone. Whatever it was, it had left. I've never again seen this creature. I don't know what it was, but I know that it was real because I saw it for several seconds. I saw the eyes. I remember still the shape of the shadow, the eyes, the noise of the steps. I've talked about this with only a few friends and family. After the incident, the man began to research what it was that he thought he saw that night. His research led him to the Point Pleasant sightings, and that creature described by the witnesses very much resembles what he saw that night. At the time, when I saw it the first time, I called it the Crow Man because it was like a big crow with a black shadow and eyes. I also searched if there were animals, real animals, that had red eyes at night. The fox has the red eyes in the dark, but I don't believe that a fox could exist that was taller than me and that it could step with 2 feet like a man. And the eyes were very big, so I don't know what it was. Every time I tell my friends or people I know about this story, I tell them that it was the only time in my life that I was really scared, and it was very real. Late August 2015, Pedro Roque and his 3 friends were out hiking in the woods of Alameda in southern Portugal when they encountered a flying creature that they had never seen before, something they believed to be an ahul, a giant bat-like cryptid. I and another friend heard a noise above. It looked like a large flying animal, perhaps a giant bat, Roque told Cryptozoology News. He claims the sighting only lasted a few seconds, and it appeared to be a 4-foot-tall giant bat or primate. In October 2014, residents of Colino, Argentina, observed a winged humanoid creature that appeared briefly in the skies before flying off. Some residents were said to have left town because of it. Colino police were notified but found nothing. Sometime after, Carlos Sanchez, a firefighter, and his friend, a police officer, observed a strange black hooded figure that matched the reports, except for the fact that it walked rather than flew. The 2 men followed it, lost it, then spotted it again, at which point it spread its wings and flew off into the sky. In 2006, Dave Schrader, host of Beyond the Darkness, went out to James Gilliland's ranch in Trout Lake, Washington, where he observed numerous strange objects as well as a winged entity that he described as a human-sized flying stingray. I was out there. I'd seen these lights in the sky, many different lights in the sky, doing all sorts of different things, some flashing, some moving in rapid speeds, and then turning at breakneck speeds. But the most profound experience I had was, at one point, we had all been watching Mount Adams, I think was the name of the volcano over there. We were all standing there watching this, and I figured, what are we missing behind us? So I walked out into the field and turned around. So I was looking behind everybody else who were looking behind me. Dave began making his way towards the trees when, at about 200 yards away, he observed something he couldn't believe. I go there and I'm looking when behind this grove of pine trees comes this internally glowing blue back. I don't know. It looked like a stingray without the tail, the way it fluttered. And it emanated a blue light from within. It didn't glow. It didn't look like it was lighting up the sky. It was just a self-contained light, and it just fluttered through the sky behind one set of trees to behind another set of trees, and then it was gone. And it was so eerie, silent eerie, but it looked like a bad 1980s movie video effect. So I was running towards it and throwing rocks between the trees, half expecting to hear the sound of a screen or something he had back there that he was projecting things on, but there was nothing. Dave Schrader was also interviewed on an episode of Paranormal State in 2008, where he also talked about the incident. I know right now Chicago is having an insane amount of sightings. there's so many coming in now that just the other night, Lon Strickler, I talked to him pretty regularly. He even said that he's kind of getting like overwhelmed by the amount of sightings that are coming in from Chicago of these flying humanoids. He doesn't want to call them a Mothman because not all the descriptions are the same. Some people are describing owls, some people are describing large birds, some are describing like human-sized moths, some are describing like shape-shifting creatures. I mean, there's so many different things that are being described flying over the skies of Chicago right now. Some people are saying it's a hoax. Some people are saying that there's a skeptic group that is behind it, and they're basically trolling the paranormal researchers. But Lon's spoken with quite a few of these people on the phone, and Manuel Navarrete or whatever you say his name, he's, I guess, talked to some of these people, and I don't know, from what Lon said, that it doesn't sound like it's a hoax, and he doesn't think these are actors. So he believes that there's something going on in Chicago right now. Now Nick Redfern just posted a story on Mysterious Universe about how people are having these apocalyptic dreams that are somehow connected to these Chicago sightings. I don't know, or Mothman sightings or whatever. But anyways, if you've had any kind of experience or know anyone who's had an experience of seeing a flying humanoid anywhere, I guess, but specifically in Illinois, please let Lon know, because he's trying to track this stuff, and apparently, I guess he's got nearly 40 sighting reports going back to 2011. He's even got some before that. But anyways, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening.